1, 2, 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are back here for our main event of the week here on Project Cars 2. It is the Touring Car Championship here on the PlayStation platform for round 3 of season 12 here at Motive Racing. So that is that for our free practice session, which I wouldn't read too much into. It's usually just a bit of a warm-up for the drivers to just get their teeth back up into the action after a week out of the touring cars. Obviously we had the Clios on Monday, so these guys have had some racing action as they usually have by this point in the week, but the touring cars obviously different beasts. As we can see there, Mike Gaming taking the fastest time in the session by quite some way, but as I said before, let's not read too much into this because it is only practice, and I imagine that a lot of drivers are running full fuel tanks in that practice session, and we'll see a much more representative sort of running here for this race. It is going to be a reverse grid based on the championship standings. The drivers know where they're going to be starting. I just need to just quickly do a little spot check, just make sure that all of the guys who are supposed to be carrying 100 litres are indeed doing so. So that would include Mike Gaming, who has got his 100 litres in. I know John Boy's in the top 4, so he'll be carrying 100 litres. I think Jay is one of the other ones, and Cop should be the other one. Yeah, so those 4, absolutely great stuff there, all carrying 100 litres, and that's what we want to see. Obviously, this is a sponsored series, this Touring Car Championship, sponsored by our very own Revolt Detailer. RevoltDetailer.com is where you can get some of the best car detailing products in the UK, or indeed anywhere in the world. So if you want to check it out, then definitely do so. RevoltDetailer.com. Leo is our man here behind that, obviously CEO of Revolt Detailer. He is the man. He is the man behind the plan, and he is definitely the one who you want to check out. So we're going to go to a quick advert there for RevoltDetailer.com. If you want to get some window cleaner, some snow foam, or just some cool little gadgets for your car, then definitely check this out. Coming up in a few seconds' time. So obviously a big thank you to Revolt Detailer for sponsoring the Touring Car Championship here at Motive Racing. We're currently just on the formation lap right now, just getting ready before we go officially green here for the race. Big Blue did jump in the session and would have had to start the back, but unfortunately for him, he disconnected just before we got to the 3 minute, or just after we got to the 3 minute cut-off point in the session, which means he won't be able to take part in the first race of the night, but hopefully Big Blue can stick around and join us for the second and third races, because there's still plenty more action to get involved with. The great thing about having 3 races in one night is that if you miss one, then you can still get involved in some more fun. You know, your night's certainly not over if you miss one race, but nonetheless, it's going to be Connor leading us around. Obviously, back market in this championship. Can you make the most of a very, very strong grid position here? Charlie Goff in second place, has not had the season so far at all. Now, can he get himself up to a win here? and get himself off the mark. Revolt Detailer in third. Aussie Albie definitely can do something from there. We've got Part Pooper just behind. Part Pooper's one who we know is strong when he's got a decent grip position. Andy Cottrell, Big Blue there, welcome along, good to see you, mate. As we've got the drivers now coming through the final chicane here. This is I guess Woodcote really, isn't it? As they're coming through out onto the start finish straight. Here we go. We are green. We are racing now. Connor leads us coming into Copse Corner. Charlie Goff on the way at the back of him. You can see Revolt Detail's got Part Pooper looking to his inside, but on the exit of Copse, as he's gone wide, Part Pooper's up the inside, up into fourth place. Here's Captain Harlock now looking to try and pick off Aussie Albie, and Aussie Albie's lost a couple of places there, down to P6 in that little debacle. Nick the Villa's on the back of Craig at the moment. You've got Jay just ahead of John Boy, followed by Mike, Cobb and the Mutt-Nuts to the back. So Cobb has lost out by the looks of it to Mike to Mike Gaming. So Mike Gaming's up into 12th place, but Charlie Goff has taken the lead here off of Connor. Connor's lost out to Revolt Detail, and Revolt Detail is now defending here from Connor as they're now coming down the hanger straight for the first time down towards Stowe Corner as Connor's looking to the back of Revolt Detail. He gives him a tap in the rear there, and Revolt Detail managed to get it turned in. No, he's gone actually towards the inside of the corner in the background. Part Pooper Rex getting it all wrong there coming through Stowe, but we're all through very cleanly here in the first few corners of the first lap, as we've got a lot of drivers packed into a small space right now. You can see at the front of it is Nick the Villain, then you've got Aussie Albie, Jay looking to the inside of Aussie Albie. In the background of a bit of a slide there from Craig, manages to hold on to it though, as he's now got Mike Gaming looking on the back of him. Mike Gaming though is going to try and have a look to the inside coming through. This fast left-hander is in the foreground there. You can see Aussie Albie getting a bit of a poor run. He might lose out here to John Boy. John Boy's up into 8th place at the front. Revolt Detail has got a time penalty for track limits, but we see in the foreground there John Boy sending one down the inside of Jay, can't get it done, has to back out of it. Aussie Albie's managed to get ahead of Craig in the background as they come through Woodcote, and Mike Gaming, Cobb and the Mutt-Nuts right behind these guys at the moment, but Jay has managed to get ahead of Aussie Albie up into 8th place. So Aussie Albie losing a couple of places there. Charlie Goff, your race leader, has got Revolt Detailer hassling in the back of him right now as they're coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's for the second time at racing speeds. Part Pooper into third, has got ahead of Captain Harlock. There's Nick the Villa running in 5th place. John Boy and Jay are side by side coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's as Jay is looking around the outside here. Can he get the move done here on John Boy? John Boy's going to have the inside and just keeps himself there, but Jay with the better grip. He's gone wide onto the grass, keeps it around them though, and it's done really well as Jay to get himself back up into 6th place. Aussie Albie's watching this unfold in front of him. The Mutt-Nuts has got Cobb, Craig and Connor in hot pursuit right now with Mike Gaming. He's down in 13th place. It's not been the first couple of laps here that Mike Gaming would have wanted at all. He's now managed to get ahead of Connor, and Connor has gone from last to 13th place in the opening exchanges of this race. The Mutt-Nuts has got ahead of Craig, and Craig has now got Connor looking on the back of him here as they're battling for 12th place. But it's Charlie leading the pack right now ahead of Revolt Detailer. These two have gapped Captain Harlock a little bit. Part Pooper Rex is all over the back of Captain Harlock right now as they've got Nick the Villain not too far behind them either, as Aussie Albie's now ahead of John Boy. John Boy, did he make a mistake there? Because he's just dropped off of these guys a little bit. You can see there that now John Boy now well off of Jay and Aussie Albie. So Aussie Albie gaining 1 place there, but Charlie Goff still your race leader right now by 7/10 of a second. Captain Harlock, Part Pooper and Nick the Villa, this trio right battling over the podium places at the moment. You've got Jay, who's got about a second back to Aussie Albie at the moment. Cobb ahead of John Boy, and John Boy has got Mike looking down his inside, coming down towards Cops. Is Mike going to get this done here? Onto the brakes they come, and Mike Gaming a routine move there up the inside and up into 9th place. Does he go wide? He does go wide. He just keeps it within track limits, I think, but that was a close call there. John Boy's back up into P9 once again now that Mike's got to watch out for the Mutt-Nuts here right behind him in this battle for what is P10 on the track, as the Mutt-Nuts there has managed to now get ahead of Mike up into P10, so that's job done there for him. And now the Mutt-Nuts is looking all over the back of John Boy as well as they're coming out of Chapel Curve out onto the hanger straight once again. Jay is looking all over Captain Harlock here as now coming down towards Stowe Corner. He's having a little look, trying to stem on the inside. He's going to go for it here. Jay, has he gone deep? No, he's got it turned in absolutely brilliantly there. Jay is up into 5th place. Captain Harlock got a bit mugged there by Jay. I don't think he was expecting that one, but Jay is now up into P5 and can now focus on Part Pooper and Nick. And I tell you what, Jay's looking up the inside of Nick. Gives him a tap there, and Nick goes there a little bit wide, and Jay's going to now try and keep it there. A bit naughty there from Jay. Nick the Villa holds on to the position for the time being, but they're living dangerously right now as Jay's got the run here. They're now going to come down towards the Woodcote chicane for the 4th time here in this race. Here we go. You've got Nick the Villa trying to look to the outside here of Part Pooper. Part Pooper defending to the inside. You've got Jay in the background who has to tuck in for the time being. Nick the Villa really challenging Part Pooper. Jay almost getting it wrong there in the background. down, and Captain Harlock trying to capitalise on this as they're coming out onto the start finish straight, but his Park Hooper is still holding on here ahead of Nick at the moment. Coming down towards Cops here, and Nick just a little bit too far back there on Park Hooper at the moment, but they've managed to gap Jay and Captain Harlock whilst they've been battling there. You can see Charlie Goff is still keeping Revolt Detailer at bay, but it's been a great drive from Revolt Detailer so far. He's really impressed in his opening few laps here at Silverstone Classic, and we've seen he's had the pace around here before. Oh, as Charlie gets it wrong, and Revolt Detailer is going to swoop through into the lead here, coming out onto the hanger straight. Revolt Detailer tucks it in to P1 here in this first race of the night, and he leads by 1/10 of a second. Our sponsor, our main man here for the Touring Car Championship, he's got Charlie Goff looking back to his inside into towards Stowe Corner, but that's job done there for Revolt Detailer. Park Hooper Rex ahead of Nick Levin, followed by Jay. Then you've got Cobb, who's trying to defend from Captain Harlock, and Ozzy Albie is on the back of these guys right now as Captain Harlock gets a little bit wrong, and now Ozzy Albie's going to try and pick him off here, coming down towards Vale. In the background you've got John Boy all over the place, losing out to the Mutts Nuts once again. But Ozzy Albie's on the back of Captain Harlock here. Captain Harlock goes a bit wide there coming out of Vale. Now they're coming through the next sequence of corners. Ozzy Albie can't quite get enough of his Mercedes alongside that BMW to be able to really challenge him at this point, and Captain Harlock holds on to that one for the time being. Revolt Detailer still your leader by half a second ahead of Charlie Goff. Park Hooper there in third ahead of Jay, followed by Nick Lavella. You've got Cobb there in the background ahead of Captain Harlock, followed by Ozzy Albie. There's Mike Gaming ahead of the Mutts Nuts. John Boy, Connor and Craig is the back marker currently in this race, but Revolt Detailer still weathering heavy pressure right now from Charlie Goff as these two are continuing to battle it out despite him making that move. Charlie Goff's not giving up in this battle as Mike Gaming is looking all over the back of Ozzy Albie. Now it's going to be 3 wide because the Mutts Nuts is getting involved in this one as well. Is it the Mutts Nuts or is it somebody else? I think it is the Mutts Nuts. It is Mutts Nuts there, threads the needle beautifully there and gets himself up into PA. Now he's looking on the back of Captain Harlock here. The Mutts Nuts could be about to make his third move in the space of a few corners. Here we go. He just threads the needle there on the inside. Captain Harlock gives him the space, but the BMW's got the straight line speed and coming down the hanger straight. He probably is going to be able to crop the positions back on him again as we see him just push him a little bit wide there coming out to the hanger straight. In the background you've got Ozzy Albie's trying to get back on terms with Mike Gaming, but Mike Gaming on the inside for Stowe Corner and should have that one back. Captain Harlock trying to keep it around the outside here of the Mutts Nuts. The Mutts Nuts goes a little bit deep coming into Stowe. Captain Harlock looking at the inside, a bit of a contact there between the two of them, but the Mutts Nuts just has that held on to for the time being. Captain Harlock giving him a little bit of a push there as they were coming through that sequence. Mike Gaming watching this unfold in the background. He's going to pick off Ozzy Albie because Ozzy Albie's gone deep there coming through Vale, and that's going to be a job done there for Mike up into 8th, and Captain Harlock there got it all wrong as well. Sorry, Captain Harlock there down to 9th place. The Mutts Nuts though has gained 3 places on this lap and he's not looking back yet. He's going to try and chase down these guys up ahead of him. You've got currently Jay, Nick and Cobb battling over 4th, 5th and 6th places. They've lost a bit of time to Park Hooper who's occupying that final podium place. Park Hooper is now closing the gap to the 2 leaders, Revolt Detailer and Charlie Goff. So if they continue to battle, then this man here could very much be on there, could very much be looking at making a move on them. Jay there is trying to gap Nick a little bit, and he's managed to do so by about 1.6 seconds on the last lap. So Nick must have got a penalty on that previous lap. Revolt Detailer, Jay, Nick, Cobb, the Mutts Nuts and Ozzy Albie have all got penalties in this race. We're not quite sure what the nature of those penalties are at the moment, but Cobb there down the inside of Nick coming through in towards Maggots and Beckett's, and that's job done there for him. But can Nick try and come back at Cobb? As we can see Jay getting out of it, so I assume that Jay's got a slow down there because he's letting them pass. Now we can see that Cobb is trying to defend here from Nick coming down towards Stowe Corner. Nick's going to try and breeze around the outside here. Cobb's going to have the inside line and should keep on to that one for the time being then. But this is great racing here in the opening few laps here at Silverstone Classic for Motive Racing's Touring Car Championship, round 3 of 6 for season 12. As Cobb's still holding ahead of Nick at the moment. There's Jay and Mike and the Mutts Nuts all over the back of them at the moment. Ozzy Albie, Captain Harlock, then you've got John Boy who's a little way off. John Boy's had a nightmare of an opening race of the night. There's no other word for it so far. It's not gone to plan at all for him as he's running about 3 or 4 seconds clear of Connor right now, who in turn turn has a bit of a gap back to Craig, and he has not had the race so far in any way, shape or form. But Revolt Detailer and Charlie still your two leaders. Park Pooper took another second out of these two on that previous lap, so Park Pooper is absolutely flying, and he's bridging that gap down to the leaders at a rate of knots. Nick's still on the back of Cobb. You've got Jay, who's being passed here by the Mutts Nuts, and Mutts Nuts down the inside. Now Jay's got to watch out because Mike's trying to go around his outside as well. Can Jay keep it there? Mutts Nuts there sneaks around the outside. The Mutts Nuts is flying here tonight. Mike there has obviously got around Jay, but Jay's going to try and come back at Mike. Mike is now trying to push the Mutts Nuts here, coming in towards Beckett. So the Mutts Nuts is going to hold the inside line ahead of Mike. Mike's going to try and go round the outside. Does Mike have the grip to do so? The Mutts Nuts is going to keep it there. Mike on the grass a little bit, but he's going to be far enough alongside the Mutts Nuts coming out of Chapel Curve. They have right to some space, and here we go with the Mutts Nuts there with not so much of a better exit as Mike gave him, but we're going to be side by side all the way down the Hackett Straight. Now the Mutts Nuts has the inside line and is slightly ahead coming in towards Stowe Corner. Can he get this done? The Mutts Nuts is going to go with the instant reply there on Mike Gaming, but Mike Gaming is going to try and get the cut back here out of Stowe Corner. Oh, it's Jay who's in the background. Jay gets it all wrong onto the grass. He did really well to hold on to that, but he's lost a couple of seconds here to these two. Mike and the Mutts Nuts were still battling, and Captain Hardick in the background getting a bit onto the grass there coming through in towards Vale. Aussie Albion John Boy still going in the background there. Connor and Craig a long way off, but the Mutts Nuts is on the back of Mike, and these two battling out over 6th and 7th places. But what a shame there for Jay, who seems to have lost it again. He's now lost out to Captain Harlock and Aussie Albion. He's falling backwards here at this point is Jay. What a nightmare for him, as Revolt Detailer and Charlie are still battling over the lead. They've managed to maintain the gap to Park Hooper on that lap. Park Hooper didn't gain as much time on the two leaders as he has been in the previous laps, so it looks like Revolt Detailer and Charlie starting to respond, or maybe Park Hooper's just dropping off the pace a little bit. Cobb though, I tell you what, Cobb is flying right now. He's only 3 seconds off of the lead, and he's lapping about a second quicker than Revolt, Charlie and Park Hooper. So Cobb is one to watch here in the final few laps of this race, and I've said before, Cobb is Mike's closest challenger. I tell you what, if Cobb can win this race, he will take the championship lead going into obviously the second race of the night. So it'd be a massive sort of incentive for Cobb to do so. As Revolt Detailer's looking on the back of Charlie in towards Stowe Corner, a little bit too far back at the moment, but Park Hooper is continuing to close on these two right now. You can see there the Revolt Detailer is looking to try and get a bit of a run here on Charlie. He's going to look to make the move as they're going to be side by side here down towards Vale. Revolt Detailer with the inside, Charlie Goff trying to keep it around the outside. He has the grip on the outside to do so. But the more that these two battle, the more it's bringing Park Hooper into this race. Cobb also looming large on the horizon. Nick Lavella not a million miles off, but it looks like he's got quite a severe penalty by the looks of it, because it's saying on the timing screen he lost 4 seconds on that last lap. I don't think he lost that much time, but you can see there that Nick Lavella's got 4 seconds. Revolt and Cobb have got 2. The Mutts Nuts has got 6. Jay's got 2. Aussie Alby's got 2. So there's a few penalties being handed out right now, but Charlie's still leading ahead of Revolt Detailer, followed by Park Hooper, who's right on the back of these guys here. Second separating the top 3. There's Cobb in 4th place ahead of Nick Lavella, who's running in P5 at the moment. He's got 3 seconds further back to Mike Gaming, who's got the Mutts Nuts still hassling him as they're coming through Cobb's Corner. Captain Harlock there running in 8th place, has got a couple of seconds back to this man Jay, who's got John Boy on the back of him. There's Aussie Alby in the background right with them as well. But Charlie still keeping ahead of Revolt, followed by Park Hooper. Cobb though is continuing to chip away at these guys. Cobb was quicker than any of the top 3 on that previous lap by quite some way. Park Hooper's got ahead of Revolt Detailer up into 2nd place, so Park Hooper X now can focus on Charlie Goff, but can Revolt Detailer come back at him here? The race is really starting to heat up now in the closing stage of this one. Now Cobb finds himself within 2 seconds of the race lead, within 1.5 seconds of the race lead, so he's continuing to bridge that gap. Nick Lavella is 2.7 seconds off for the lead, but he's got a 4-second penalty. We must not forget that. But we're coming towards the business end of this race. We're going to have, I think, 3 more laps after this one, and it's anyone's guess as to who's going to win this race. It could be any of these 4, I reckon, but obviously Cobb would need to pull out a gap to these 3. If he were to get ahead, he would need to pull out a reasonable enough gap of at least 2 seconds to be able to win this race. Charlie and Revolt Detailer have battled it out for the win, but they're now separated by Park Hooper Rex, who's caught up to them and has managed to split them here. But we're starting at lap 11 of this race. It's going to be, I think, a 13-lap race here at Silverstone Classic for the first race of the night. As in the background we can see that's Mike there hitting the wall, and he might lose a bit of time here to the Mutts Nuts. Is the Mutts Nuts going to be able to close in on him here? Mike there clouting the wall in the background. background. Very unlike Mike Gaming. He's running in 6th place at the moment, but he's currently losing points to his championship rival Cobb, who sat there in 4th place. And Cobb could potentially be on the verge of taking more points here if he can get ahead of Revolt Detailer and maybe chase down Charlie and Parkwood. But it's currently Charlie and Parkwood battling it out over the race here. 0.3 of a second separating them. Neither of them with penalties. This is for track position. This is for the classification here. This is for the race win between these two. Parkwood looking to the outside. Charlie just defending his line a little bit. Parkwood now cutting back to the inside. He's going to try and send one into Stowe corner. Charlie just turns in and covers him off there as Parkwood couldn't quite find the gap on the inside, but he's now looking to try and get a cut back here. Charlie has that covered again, but they're now coming down towards Vale. Parkwood once again having a look to the inside, but Charlie's got that covered off once again. There's Cobb making a move down the inside of Revolt Detail up into 3rd place. That's job done there for Cobb up onto the podium spots. Now you've got Nick the Villa watching in the background, but Revolt Detail is trying to come back at Cobb as they're coming now down towards the final part of the track, and Cobb's gone a bit deep there through that part of the track. Now Revolt Detail might be looking to the outside here in towards Woodcote. In the foreground, Charlie and Parkwood are still going at it for the race lead, but Parkwood can't get anything done here with Charlie at the moment. Cobb keeping ahead of Revolt Detailer. Now can Cobb chase down these two and maybe challenge for the win here on the final lap of this race? Obviously Cobb, Revolt, Nick and the Mustnuts all with penalties. Mike hasn't got a penalty, so he might benefit from these penalty drivers in front of him. We'll have to wait and see how this unfolds in the final couple of laps of this race. But 2 to go here at Silverstone Classic for the opening race of the night, and it's Charlie Goff still keeping ahead of Parkwood at the moment, just about by the skin of his teeth. Parkwood is still trying to hassle him. Cobb there in the background in that final podium place is ahead of Revolt Detailer. There's Nick the Villa, who's now within 2 seconds of the race lead, but with a 4-second penalty, which is going to be crucial to his race. He'll be wanting to clear Revolt so he doesn't lose time and end up losing out to the Mustnuts, who's almost within 4 seconds of him just there. The Mustnuts has also got a penalty, but I don't think it's as much as what Nick's got, that's for sure. As in the background, Revolt Detailer now looking to the inside to try and defend here from Nick the Villa. Nick the Villa still can't make the move on him at the moment. Parkwood is right on Charlie Goff though as they're coming down towards Vale. A little bit too far back coming into the corner. Cobb though is waiting in the wings here, and I've said before, Cobb has a penalty, so he needs to not only clear these guys, but he also have to gap them by 2 seconds. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think it's going to be P3 at best here for Cobb, as Parkwood is still looking to try and get the run here on Charlie. Cobb now looking to try and capitalise on both of these two battling. Here we go, Cobb looking to the inside. Parkwood's going to have to go around the outside here of Charlie. Charlie's going to defend the inside line in towards Woodcote, but Parkwood's got the run almost around the outside. Charlie just covers him off there, brakes in exactly the right place, positioned his car perfectly, and now Cobb might have a chance because Parkwood got a bit of a poor run coming out to the start finish straight. Down towards Cobb's corner they come here, as we can see Cobb there looking to the inside. Is he going to send one into Cobb's corner? I think he is. You know, Cobb there's got the inside line, rugs the curve a little bit there, but he's going to have the exit. Nicely done there, but Parkwood is going to have the better run coming down towards Magus and Beckett's, and I think that Parkwood is going to have that held onto as they come through this next sequence. Parkwood there keeping onto P2 by the skin of his teeth. Cobb there is going to have to rethink. He's going to send one coming into Beckett's. He does a bit of a lock up there from Cobb, but he gets it back done again. Revolt Detailer and Nick the Villa watching and waiting and hoping they might be able to get some scraps here at the end of this race. But Charlie Goff, I think, has maybe just won the race here with Parkwood losing out to Cobb. These two battling, I think, has now given Charlie that respite that he needed to go and win this race. Parkwood watching out, whereas Cobb looking down the inside in towards Stowe corner. Revolt Detailer wants some more here. He's not done in this battle for the win. He goes a little bit wide though, coming through Stowe corner. Now Cobb trying to get the run here down towards Vale. We come for the final time in this race. Charlie Goff could be about to take his first win of the season and break a horrifying run of form that he's had so far this season. Bit of a wiggle there from Revolt Detailer in the background as he's trying to get onto the podium, but Revolt Detailer is now, Parkwood is just keeping ahead of Cobb at the moment. Revolt Detailer has lost to Nick. Oh, there's a crash between Nick and Revolt Detailer. Nick's gone into the wall, and I think he's just about avoided damage, but he'll now lose out to Mike because Mike hasn't got a penalty, so Mike will pick up P5 as it stands. Charlie Goff though is coming through the final corner, and it's going to be the victory for Charlie Goff here in race 1. What a great result for him after a sketchy start to the season. He finally gets a victory on the board. Parkwood with second, Cobb completes the podium in third place. Mike takes fourth on the penalties, with the penalties for Nick the Villa and Revolt Detailer, who drops behind the Mutts Nuts in the end. So So that didn't go at all well for Revolt Detailer. John Boy a long way behind in 8th place, and very unlike John Boy to see him that far behind as he's now coming into Woodcote. He's just ahead of Aussie Albie there, who's in 9th place, but it's going to be John Boy over in P8. Aussie, actually no, John Boy takes P7 on the penalty, so Revolt Detail must have had quite a hefty penalty there. He loses out to Aussie Albie. Craig's going to come over to take P9 on the penalties. Aussie Albie loses out on the penalties. Captain Harlock takes 11th behind Aussie Albie, so Aussie Albie takes P10, Captain Harlock P11, and Connor Boylan takes 12th place for the first race of the night. But what a race that was, ladies and gentlemen, and stay tuned for the rest, because it's going to be even more great action here tonight at Silverstone Classic. What a track it is for these cars as well. But Charlie Goff taking a win, and I can't say I'm any more happy for him than I would be for anyone else, but nonetheless he's done fantastically well to take a victory here after a really quite a barren run of form to bounce back in the way he has. Superb job from him. But yeah, guys, we'll be back very, very shortly for the second race, and we're going to go to a quick advert for our sponsors, Revolt Detailer.
Get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light. The walls I built for myself right in my mind, and then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. You and I. Flying around. Back now.
Welcome back then, guys. We're back here for the second race, but this is the qualifying session before the second race of the evening here at Motive for the Touring Car Championship. We've obviously got the third round of the season here for the touring cars, and this is race 2 of the night. And as I said before, the first and the second and the third races are reverse grids. The first race has a reverse grid based on the championship standings. The second race has a reverse grid based on the second race has a qualifying session, and the grid is based on the qualifying session, and the third race is a reverse grid based on the results from the second race. So the middle race, the second race, is the only one where you see a representative grid based on raw pace. So obviously this is probably the most important qualifying session of the night. It's the time when your pace really matters to some extent. The first race we reversed the championship standings, and that's the order we start in. The third race we reversed the race finishing results from this one. So I suppose if you're a quick driver and you have a bad result in this one, you're going to have a very good chance of running away with the third race. But it's how we do it. It's worked. It kind of spices things up a bit. It adds a bit of jeopardy for those who do well in the second race. So does being high up in the championship. Also, the rule that we have is that the top 4 in the championship carry 100 litres. Obviously, I've said often that I think the Renault Megane is probably the best car on the grid. I know a lot of drivers, I know 2 now at least, who actually fare better in the BMW than they do in the Renault. I mean, Mike's one of those drivers who can drive any car. He's just rapid in any car that he gets into. But he's one who I've noticed he's I'd say he's probably quicker in the BMW. The guys like Jay and Nick, guys like them, they can match him in the Megane. In the BMW, he was a step above the rest last season. Just a little bit. He was a little bit above the rest last season around most tracks. He had just a little bit extra. I think in the Megane he's not as strong. Big Blue is a driver who I know goes better in the BMW than he does in the Megane. There's a few drivers who are better in the BMW, in the rear-wheel drive cars, than they are in the Renault Megane. So the theory that I've always had, and I've always said this before, is that the Renault Megane is the quickest car. Not necessarily, but as a general rule, I would say probably yes. But not as an absolute. It's not concrete. Let's say that. I've actually forgotten what my point was now, so I'm now rambling off on a tangent. So I do apologise to anybody who had to deal with that. I've actually completely forgotten what I was saying, and I do apologise. Oh yeah, what I was saying was it's a double whammy for drivers who are in the top 4 in the championship, who have to go to the effort to outperform their machineries. Guys like John Boy, for example, who's in the top 4 in the championship, he has to work his arse off to get to where he is in the championship and get the sort of results that he gets, and then obviously he gets a double whammy because he gets 100 litres of fuel in his car, coupled with the fact that he's in a car that isn't as good as everyone else. And when I first implemented this idea, when we first implemented the 100 litres of fuel for the top 4 in the championship, I thought, yeah, but it's going to be really unfair if somebody outperforms their car. But actually, I don't think it is. I think it makes kind of sense, because if they are in the top 4 in the championship, then clearly they're good enough to be able to deal with handicaps. So in a way, I think it balances itself out, albeit it's a massive kick in the face, when you go to that effort. But nonetheless, it looks like the qualifying session is over. Mike Gaming has gone pole by 0.4 of a second. Cobb, is he still out there in anger? I think he is. I think he is on one more lap here, so Cobb will get another lap in. John Boy's in the pits, so I can't imagine he's going to improve in there. You got Charlie Goff and Jay both in the pits at the moment. The Mutts Nuts is, I think, on an in lap at this point. Captain Harlock coming down a hanger straight, he's still out there. Ozzy Albie's done. Ozzy Albie's finished for the session. Craig looks like he's done as well. So really it's on Cobb, Nick and Captain Harlock to finish this session. Got Cobb and Nick coming around the final few corners, so we'll watch them as they come around to complete their lap in due course, you would imagine. So Cobb there coming under the bridge. That's obviously what used to be Bridge Corner. and more recently led into Priory and Brooklands. Now obviously there's no such thing as Priory anymore, it goes straight from the Wellington straight into Brooklands. Cobb there goes P2, I think it was already P2, so he didn't improve at the end there. I don't think that Nick improved either, so those two stayed P2 and 4. Captain Harlock stayed 7th, so no changes at the end of the qualifying session. It's Mike taking pole ahead of Cobb, followed by John Boyd, Nick, then you've got Charlie Goff ahead of Jay, followed by Captain Harlock, the Mutts Nuts, then Aussie Albie and Craig completing the top 10, followed by Connor in 11th, Big Blue 12, Revolt Detailer P13, and Part Pooper Rex will round out the grid down in 14th place. Never likes to qualify, does he? But stay tuned for this one, guys, it's going to be epic.
And I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I.
Here we are then, guys, we're lining up on the grid, getting ready to go racing here for the second race of the evening for the Touring Car Championship here at Motive Racing. If you're enjoying what you're watching tonight, guys, please do smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to get involved, then be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com as well. That's where you can get involved in the action that you see out on track in front of you at the moment. If you're one of the drivers watching this back afterwards, please do share with your friends, family members, and otherwise associates. And as I say, if you do want to get involved, then definitely join our Discord server and get involved in the community. There's plenty to get involved with. As we're at lights out and away we go, we're underway already as Mike Gaming didn't get a great start. John Boy here going up to challenge him and in towards Cops Corner as they're going to be side by side here, as we've got in the background Nick the Villa and Jay almost side by side. Also you got Captain Harlock trying to defend here from Charlie Goff, but Mike Gaming keeping it on the outside there. Oh, somebody's wide there coming through turn 1, and Jay's lost a couple of places there. That was Jay who got it all wrong coming up out of Cops Corner. Mike ahead of Nick, followed by John Boy, who's really challenging Nick coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. You got Cobb there who's trying to defend there from Captain Harlock. Oh, as John Boy goes straight on Beckett's corner, and John Boy there has lost a load of places. He's down to 14th place here on this opening lap, and John Boy, a very uncharacteristic howler there from him, as we've got Mike leading ahead of Cobb. He's already got a second of a gap. You've got side by side here between the Mutts Nuts and Captain Harlock, as Captain Harlock's looking around the outside of the Mutts Nuts coming into Stoke Corner, but the Mutts Nuts has got that inside line covered off at the moment. You can see in the background there Craig getting it all wrong coming through Stowe, and he's lost out here to both Revolt Detailer and Charlie Goff. Charlie's managed to get ahead of Revolt Detailer on the run up towards Bell. Oh no! And Craig there goes into Jay, and Jay's on his roof. Oh, and you can see in the background there he gets collected by Aussie Albie as well. Oh, it's a chain reaction there. It all started from Craig losing it coming into Vale, and Jay with big damage, and Aussie Albie with the same. Those two look like their races are all but over on the first lap. It's Mike leading ahead of Cobb by a second. You got Mutts Nuts there in third place ahead of Charlie Goff, followed by Captain Harlock, completing the top 5. But what an opening lap to this race, and what a shame there for Jay and Aussie, who are now going to have big damage on their cars. As you got currently Part Pooper looking to the inside, and Nick the Villa coming down towards Cops Corner. He's going to have the inside line, and Part Pooper Rex is going to get that one done. Routine stuff there from him. Craig in the background there in 8th ahead of Connor, who's running in 9th place at the moment. There's Big Blue in 10th as John Boy coming into the pits to get some damage repaired. So is Revolt Detailer. So lots of drivers coming in. Also Aussie and Jay, I imagine they'll be coming in to get their damage repaired as well. Oh, it's Aussie, bad to worse, bad to worse. Oh, get the camera off of him. Just stop. Oh, Mike Gaming leads the race by by 1.3 seconds right now. Cobb trying to hold on to the back of him right now, but it's all gone Pete Tong in the early stages of this race. The Mutts Nuts has got Charlie looking to his inside into Stowe corner. Nothing doing there at the moment. The Mutts Nuts has picked up a time penalty there for track limits as he goes a bit wide there coming out of Stowe. Charlie not close enough to capitalise at the moment. But it's all going off here in the early stage of this race, I'll tell you, as Nick de Villiers stood on the back of Bart Pooper. You can see those guys battling out over P6 and 7. There's Craig, who's a few seconds clear of Connor at the moment. Big Blue there running in P10. John Boy's come out first of the pit stop drivers, currently in 11th place. Revolt Detailer coming to the end of the pit lane now. There's Jay still in the box, as is Aussie Albie. So it's not been the start to the race that those guys would have needed. But Mike's currently leading by just over a second right now ahead of Cobb. You can see the Mutts Nuts has got Charlie Goff really close on him as well. He's got his hands full right now. The Mutts Nuts also with a time penalty as well, so that will be playing on his mind a little bit. But he's got it held on to coming through Cops. He goes a little bit deep there. Just the Mutts Nuts. Charlie might be able to get the run here. He's got a much better exit out of Cops corner as we go side by side here, track side here on the views. And Charlie Goff is going to get this one done into maggots, and I think that's going to be routine stuff there from him. Can the Mutts Nuts fight back coming into the braking zone? No, he can't. Charlie Goff there cuts across him a little bit and does that move beautifully there up into the podium places. In the meantime, Cobb is ahead of Mike. So Cobb there has the lead of the race. And Mike is trying to come back at him right now. 0.6 of a second currently separating these two at this point. But Cobb's done really well to get ahead of Mike. And I tell you what, Cobb looking very strong in this championship battle right now. He's got to be one of the favourites here for this title. He's right in it with Mike Gaming. And I said before, Cobb, a former champion of the GT3s back when we used to run 2 tiers back in the height of lockdown. You got Captain Harlock on the back of Park, followed by Nick. There's Craig there ahead of Connor in the background, and then a bit of a gap back to Big Blue running in P10. You've got a long way back to John Boy, who's in 11th place. Revolt Detailer and Aussie, obviously all of those guys with big damage at the start, and unfortunately we've seen a few retirements very early on here in this race. We've also lost a driver from the race as well. Jay has retired from the race in the early stages, so what a shame to lose him, as Mike's looking to the inside here on Cobb. He's really trying to attack him here. These two, I dare say it, are already looking like they're going to be the championship contenders so far this season. Jay crashing out here in the very early stages of this race, and John Boy also involved in a bit of a melee. It's now looking like it's very much between these two for the title. As we see there, Cobb looking to try and defend. Mike's going to try and go around the outside of Beckett's, but Cobb's going to have the inside and is going to get the better run, surely coming out onto the hanger straight, and Cobb should be able to hold on to this lead. But Mike is really putting it up him right now. He's letting him know that he wants this win, he wants this title. These two are looking like the two contenders. As I said before, they are really putting on a good show at the moment. Mike's going to try and go around the outside here of Stowe corner. Does he go deep into the corner? No, he doesn't. He got that turned in really nicely there. Cobb there tried to go early on the brakes and tried to go for for the better exit, but Mike managed to get the best of both there. If he was going to buy some Hovis bread from the supermarket, he would have definitely been buying the mix up between the wholemeal and the soft white. It would have been the best of both, going straight in Mike's basket there. But Cobb there still tucking in for the time being. You've got Charlie Goff running in 3rd place. He's just under 3 seconds behind these leaders. You've got the Mutts Nuts still trying to hassle the back of Charlie Goff at the moment. Park Pooper, a bit of a gap back to him, running in 5th place. He's got about a couple of seconds back to Captain Harlock, who's got Nick not too far off of him either. Big gap back to Craig running in 8th place, who's got 3 seconds further back to Connor, and he's about 8 seconds clear of Big Blue, who's got a long way back to John Boy, and then a massive gap back to Revolt Detailer and Aussie Albie, who, fair play to them, they're keeping going and they're going to score some points, and that's obviously good to see. But Mike and Cobb still your leaders at the moment, 0.6 of a second separating these two, and we are going to stick with these two because they seem like they are the main battle going on right now. They are where it's at here in this race. Just going to double check one thing very quickly here. Right, we're all good. So here we go then. The two leaders, the top two in the championship, coming down the hanger straight here for the 5th time in the race. You've got Charlie, who's got the mutts nuts still breathing down his neck in his battle for the final podium spot. Three drivers with penalties. That's Charlie the mutts nuts and Nick the Villa. Everybody else has kept their nose clean in this second race. Maybe they've just figured out where the track limits are, where you can push and where you can maybe have to just conserve a little bit. Just doing a little quick spot check to double check on the fuel loads for the handicaps drivers here tonight. Yep, they've all got their 100 litres in. Well done, boys. Good job. John Boy will be hoping and praying that after this week he's no longer in the top 4 in the standings, because he's struggling with those 100 litres in that Mercedes, that's for sure. But currently Mike and Cobb still your leaders, but Mike's just gapped Cobb a little bit over the course of this lap. He's got almost a second to him now. He was 3/10 quicker. These two are lapping quicker than everybody else, but Mike just a little bit quicker at this point. We've got currently 5 people watching the stream. Guys, smash that like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now. If you want to get involved in the action here at Motive, then go to www.motiveracing.com as well. Join our leagues. We've got the Clio Cup on Monday nights, we've got the touring cars on Thursdays, and we're also running GT3s at the moment as well, so we're looking to try and get some reserves in. If you want to reserve for the GT3s on a Tuesday night, definitely let yourself be known, because we do need reserves for that quite desperately. So yeah, if you're interested in that. Also, we're planning on running the Clio Cup and the touring cars next year as well, so those two are going to stick around for sure. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. I know that Project Cars 2 is kind of being sized down a little bit. There's a lot of talk about the servers, but as far as we're concerned, the servers are here to stay. As long as people are still using the servers, I'm sure that they'll be getting a premium off of PlayStation. So I imagine there's every need to keep those servers open. I can't imagine they'll be closing them at any time soon. Hopefully they keep them open for a couple of years, because it's going to be a while until the touring car game comes out. So it's going to be a while until we kind of get our fix for these types of machines. But if Project Cars 2 do shut their servers down. But nonetheless, Mike Cobb separated by just under a second. Cobb matched Mike on that last lap, so Cobb's still letting Mike know that he's very much in this battle for the win here in this second race of the night. Charlie Goff still can't shake off the Mutts Nuts. Mutts Nuts is really hassling him here for 3rd place. Part Poop is now closing on these guys as well. He was nearly half a second quicker than these two on the previous lap, so he's just chipping away at that gap at the moment. But Mike's just extending that gap to Cobb a little bit. Coming through the first sector here, it's just dipping under and over a second here, but Cobb there, but a better exit coming out of Chapel. Now he'll have to run coming down the hair straight. He'll have that slipstream as well, as these two are coming up on some traffic here. I think that's Revolt Detailer. That is Revolt Detailer there, who's just coming through Stowe Corner. But currently 8/10 the gap between Mike and Cobb, and Cobb's keeping Mike on his toes at this point. You've got Charlie just trying to defend from the Mutts Nuts here as they're coming down towards Stowe Corner. They've got a couple of seconds back to Part Pooper there, who's running in 5th place. But Mike Gaming still with the ascendancy for now, ahead of Cobb. Charlie still trying to hold the Mutts Nuts at bay if he can. And this race heating up between the front two. It's still very much on for the podium places as well. Mike Gaming, obviously the reigning champion of the touring car division here at Motive. Cobb, a former champion of the GT3s a long time ago. It's in the middle of 21, I think it would have been, so a year and a half ago now, that Cobb won his championship in the GT3s. But he obviously took a perfect 8 out of 8 record in Tier 2 for the GT3s. This is back when Motive was a bit bigger, because obviously everyone was at home during lockdown, and Motive was extremely busy back then. And Cobb actually managed to win every single race in the championship in the GT3 Tier 2. Admittedly Tier 2, but to win 8 out of 8, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Tier 2. The fact is, if you win 8 out of 8, that's total dominance. It shows that there was nobody who could match him, nobody who was even in his league, in that league. And saying that, the next season when he was in the Tier 1, when he got promoted, he also won a fair few races. I think he won about 2 or 3 races when he was in Tier 1. So he's a Tier 1 race winner in the GT3s. He also has won a few races in this touring car division, and he knows what it takes to win championships. He knows what it takes to fight for race wins. He's currently right on the back here of Mike Gaming and really putting the pressure on. And what a fantastic sight it would be to behold, to see Cobb really giving Mike a run for his money in this championship. We've lost Aussie Albie from this second race, which is a shame there to see, because if he had stuck it out, he would have been able to take a second place on the grid. In fact, it would have been a pole position, because obviously Jay retired a long way out. So shame there for Aussie Albie. He doesn't get to capitalise on a lofty grid position here. They will have to start from near the back. We see the leaders there just putting a lap on the back marker there of Revolt Detail, and Big Blue's just up ahead of these guys, and Big Blue there moving well out of the way. Good to see there. Sees them coming and says, after you lads, don't want anything to do with this. And Mike and Cobb continuing on their way for the time being. So far we've lost Jay, we've lost Aussie. We've also lost someone else. Have we lost somebody due to a disconnection? We've lost someone due to a disconnection. Oh, the Mutts Nuts has disconnected. Has he? Yeah, we've lost the Mutts Nuts. Oh, what a shame. The Mutts Nuts has disconnected here from the race. Or did he get pushed into the pits? I don't know. He left very abruptly. He was running in P5 at the time. Very strange. Very strange. Nonetheless, the Mutts Nuts no longer in the race. We're still watching the battle here for the lead, but Cobb's just gapped Mike a little bit over the course of this lap. So Cobb really starting to turn it up. He's got ahead of Cobb. He's got ahead of Mike. When did Cobb get ahead of Mike? I was looking down at my phone, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm such a div. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even see that happening. I was looking down at my phone. So Cobb now leads the race. We've got 4 laps left to go. Unbelievable scenes. Can Mike get on the back of Cobb again, or is Cobb just going to extend that gap? Now Cobb standing on the verge of taking a win here in this second race of the night. He's managed to put the pressure on Mike. He's obviously forced him into a mistake somewhere, and he's now trying to turn up the cooker here a little bit. He's going to try and really switch it on, and he's fallen a few laps and extend that gap and give him some comfort out the front. Mike Gaming still running in P2 at the moment. Can he close that gap back down? Charlie Goff there has managed to gap Part Pooper a little bit. Obviously with Mutts Nuts now out of the race, that's now extended the gaps between these guys in that vicinity. They've got a big gap back to Captain Harlock, who's running in 5th place, and then it's you got Craig and Nick, who are quite close in 6th and 7th. John Boy and Connor 3 seconds apart, running in 8th and 9th places. You've got Revolt Detailer and Big Blue currently having a bit of a battle here for P10 and 11. So that looks like one that could go down to the wire as well here in this race. But Cobb has got 3 and a bit laps left to go here. He's got just over a 2-second gap here to Mike Gaming. So Cobb could be about to take a win here in the touring cars. And it will definitely be, I mean, I think he might have had the championship lead after the first race. It would have been close because he came into this 4 points behind Mike. I tell you what, if he wins this second race, he will definitely go into the final race of this evening with the championship lead. So what a night it has been from Cobb so far, and can he keep this momentum that he's currently got and continue to put the pressure on last season's champion, double champion of the Clio Cup and the touring cars. Mike Gaming is running away with the Clio Cup on a Monday night so far this season, but is he going to face a stiff competition from this man here who is currently doing the bits? Bit of a lock up there as they come in towards Beckett's, but Cobb has got that gap, he's got the momentum, and he's currently got the track position here as we're coming towards the end of this race. But Mike Gaming's not going to give up, you can bet on that. He's going to keep pushing all the way until the checkered flag here. Craig and Nick currently separated by just over a second at the moment in this battle for 6th and 7th places. And Cobb just holding Mike at bay at the moment then. Nick Lavilla here, it's on the back of Craig. You can see these two separated by just under a second alone. Nick had a bit of a lock up there coming through Beckett's, but managed to keep it on the track, keep it pointing in the right direction and not making a mistake there. Good to see. gap between Cobb and Mike has come down on this lap. Did Cobb have a slowdown? It's risky business slowing down for a slowdown. In my experience, it's probably best to just keep your foot in and keep pushing, because if you slow down, you probably end up just getting a penalty anyway. So you've lost all that time and then still got a penalty. So there's not really much point. There's not much to gain from slowing down. You might as well just keep your foot in. I think Cobb has managed to shake it, whatever it was, but Mike gained 0.7 of a second on that last lap. So Mike really making those gains, and Cobb cannot afford to get a penalty here, because if he gets a penalty, Mike could be really on the cusp of taking this race win away from him here. These two now 1.3 apart, so Mike is starting to just turn up the tempo a little bit and put some pressure here on Cobb right at the end. Both of these two lap times are a little bit off of what they were doing earlier on, so maybe the tyre wear now starting to just play a little bit of a factor here. Whether the fuel tank's not that much lighter, to be fair. You've gone from 100 litres down to 75, so it's not going to make the world of difference, to be honest. So in terms of the fuel tanks, it's not going to make much difference. In terms of tyre wear, obviously their tyres are going to be a lot more worn out, and there's not really much less fuel load in the cars, so the ballast isn't going to be too much different. So at the moment, it looks as though Mike is gaining quite a bit. He's now within 0.8 of a second. Mike currently on his personal best so far on this lap, as we're about to start the final lap of the race here. Through Woodcote we come. Mike is now within half a second of Cobb. Cobb a bit of a slow lap there, 31.7. Mike gaming a 30.6. So Cobb needs to not get, he just needs to keep his head here. He needs to not get overcome by the pressure. He knows he just needs to park his car in all the right places. He doesn't need to try and push. He doesn't, as I've said so many times this season, don't try and outmatch him with your pace. Just make sure that you park your car in the right place and defend it for everything that you've got. Just make your car as wide as it can possibly be. Don't try and pull away or try and match him with speed. Just make sure that there are no gaps forming, and you should be alright. But Cobb here coming out of Chapel. Mike Gemming's got a bit of a run here coming down the Hanger Straight. Can he get that closing speed? Mike is 0.3 up on his personal best. That personal best was a 30.6. Mike knocking on the doors of a 129 here on this lap so far. He's going to get slowed down a little bit here though, as they're now coming through Stowe Corner. Cobb there putting his car in exactly the right place. Mike Gemming can't get around him at the moment. He's going to look to the outside. Cobb's going to defend the line coming through Vale, as Mike Gemming's got a little bit of his car alongside, but not far enough. Cobb should have that inside line and should have that covered off. Now he's going to defend the next corner, the inside, down towards the final few corners here of this lap here at Silverstone Classic, otherwise known as Thruxton, here for this Motive Racing Touring Car Championship, round 3 for season 12. Cobb here defending the inside here for the second race of the night, second of 3. Mike Gaming here looking to the outside into the Woodcote, as we can now see Cobb has just got to park his car here. A bit of a lock up there, rides over the curb, actually avoids it a little bit, but Cobb is going to come to the final few corners, and he is just going to hold on here ahead of Mike Gaming. A great race from those two. Mike threw the kitchen sink at Cobb at the end, but Cobb stood tall, stood firm, and held firm under the pressure there. Cobb your winner ahead of Mike in second. Part Pooper is going to complete the podium as he comes up towards the line in third place. Charlie Goff is going to come around to take P4, as here he comes round Woodcote there to take 4th place ahead of Captain Harlock. In fact, Charlie's got a penalty, so Captain Harlock will take P4 on the time penalties ahead of Charlie, who takes 5th place. Craig here is going to take P6. Is he? I think he is. Nick's just got a bit of a run on him coming down towards Woodcote, as Nick's looking to the inside, trying to throw a little feint here if he can. Craig's got that inside covered off. Oh, he's got a bit deep, but Nick can't get the run. That's job done there for Craig. P6 for him. Nick comes over to take 7th place, and in fact John Boy gets 7th on the time penalties, and John Boy 7th, Nick the Villa in 8th, and Connor will come through Woodcote. It's going to be a 9th place here for Connor. Revolt Detailer and Big Blue have finished the race. They're both a lap down here in this one, unfortunate for them. Revolt Detailer, what a shame after a cracking first race, but that is that for the second race of the night there, ladies and gentlemen. Connor, the last driver to finish the race on the lead lap, and that is your order then. So Cobb taking the win ahead of Mike Gaming, with Part Pooper in 3rd place. Guys, we'll be back very shortly for the final race of the evening. Don't go anywhere.
Get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. times and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you. Flying around. You.
Welcome back, guys, for the final race of the evening here tonight for the touring cars at Silverstone Classic. We've got a 14 lap race, obviously including the manual formation lap here before the start of this final race, the reverse grid based on the results from the race that we had just a few moments ago. So Big Blue lining up in P1 with Alt Detailer in second, with Connor in third place, Craig fourth ahead of Nick the Villa, who will line up in fifth place, followed by John Boy in P6. You've got Charlie Goff seventh ahead of Captain Harlock in 8th place, Park Pooper Rex in 9th, then you've got Mike Gaming in P10, Cobb in 11th, the race winner from the second race, and your new championship leader here, Cobb, the Mutts Nuts there, 12th, retired a few laps from the end. Aussie Albie likewise, and Jay finished, didn't finish the race, he retired on lap 1 of the race, and so we'll start on the back of this pack, but what can he do from there? Let's wait and see. Jay's obviously got some pace around this circuit. Can he deliver it here? But Big Blue will get us underway as we're coming through the final few corners of this lap, of this manual formation lap here. Obviously the final race of this evening here, guys. Do please smash the like button if you enjoy the stream right now, or if you've enjoyed what you watched so far tonight. And if you're interested in joining Motive Racing, be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. We've got Clear Cup on Monday, GT3s on Tuesday, and we've also got obviously these touring cars on Thursdays. And the Clio Cup and the touring cars definitely 100% staying for next season. What is going on in the background here? What is happening? What was all that about? Nonetheless, we're about to go racing here. Big Blue's going to put his foot to the floor. We're underway with green as we're coming through Woodcote here to start the final race of the evening. Here we go, as Connor's looking all over the back of her old detail, coming into Cop's corner. As we can see here, he's going to cut back here. Connor's looking down the inside into Cop's. He's going to make the move. Connor's the revolver, so we've got that held on to for the time being. As in the background, you've got Craig, followed by Nick, followed by John Boy. There's Charlie, who's just ahead of Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock went a little bit wide there, coming through Cop's Cops Corner, but holds on ahead of Park Boomer for the time being. Mike there in 10th ahead of Cobb, followed by the Mutts Nuts. Then you've got Jay and Aussie Albie running at the back at the moment. So Jay's picked up Aussie Albie already here in the opening stages. Oh, massive slide there from Revolt Detailer as they came into Beckett's. You've got Captain Harlock side by side with Park Boomer. Park Boomer's made the move, and Captain Harlock's going to lose out here to Mike as well. So Captain Harlock not going to get it out of Beckett's. What about Chapel? Can he get the run here? Coming down the hanger straight. I think he might be vulnerable here to Cobb as well, as Cobb's all over the back of Captain Harlock, but it's Big Blue leading and coming down towards Stoke Corner for the first time at racing speeds. Revolt Detail ahead of Corner, followed by Craig ahead of John Boy. Then you've got Nick Levera ahead of Charlie, followed by Park Pooper ahead of Mike. Then you've got Captain Harlock, Cobb, the Mutts Nuts, Jay and Aussie Albie. And what's going on up front here, as we can see, Connor's lost out to Nick Levera here, so Connor's losing out places left, right and centre here in this final race of the night. But Revolt Detailer is really trying to put the pressure here on Big Blue, and Revolt Detailer, can he get another good race like he had in the first race, obviously with the reverse grip on the first race? Oh, we just pushes Big Blue out of the way. Big Blue onto the grass and into the wall. Big Blue's not going to be too happy with that one, I tell you what. Revolt Detailer definitely rammed him, and Revolt Detailer takes the lead of the race ahead of Craig, followed by John Boy, Nick Levera, Charlie, and Big Blue's going to lose out here to Mike Gaming as well. And if I was Big Blue, I'd be quite unhappy with that one, I must say. As Nick Levera's got ahead of Charlie. Charlie's got ahead of Revolt Detailer. Is Revolt Detailer now waiting for Big Blue maybe? Or did he make a mistake coming through Woodcote? Craig has got ahead of John Boy. John Boy though, down the inside into Cops Corner's got back up into the lead here ahead of Craig. So John Boy now your new race leader once again. There's Nick Levera waiting and watching in the background here as you've got Charlie within 0.2 of a second. Revolt Detailer's right there as well as they're coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's here. You can see you've got Nick Levera down the middle trying to keep it ahead of Charlie. Charlie's the outside, he goes wide, Charlie onto the grass. Revolt Detailer here trying to cut it down the middle, but Mike Gaming's going to mug everybody here, and he's moved himself up into 4th place now. He's right on the back of Nick Levera as well, but it's John Boy leading ahead of Craig. Down the hanger straight we come here for the 3rd time in this race. Nick Levera just ahead of Mike, but Mike will look to the inside coming down towards Stoke Corner. He's got to watch out though, because Revolt Detailer's trying to go around the outside of him as well. As you've got in the background, you've got a bit of carnage there. Does it look like, oh not quite, but it looked like it was for a second. Cobb there keeping ahead of Jay. Cobb's actually lost a couple of places there by the looks of it. He was on the back of Mike a few moments ago. We just saw him there, but Charlie there is running just ahead of Big Blue. There you've got Big Blue trying to keep it there. Oh, and Jay just tags Big Blue around a little bit. Big Blue's being battered around in this early stage of this race. A flash of lights there from him. He's not happy at all with that. And Jay forces his way through, and he's up into 11th place. Big Blue, I think, is pretty unhappy. Oh, we've got a spinner. Somebody's lost it there. And who is that? Mike's made a mistake. Mike's lost it. Mike has lost it under the bridge. Incredible scenes here. John Boy's also made a mistake and he's lost a few places. It's Craig who leads ahead of Nick, followed by Revolt Detailer, who's side by side with Charlie coming down towards Cops Corner. Here we go. Charlie Goff's going to make the move up the inside, up into 3rd place. In the background, you've got the Mutts Nuts ahead of Jay, followed by Captain Harlock. Then you've got Park Pooper ahead of Cobb, followed by Big Blue at the moment. Then there's John Boy ahead of Aussie Albie, followed by Mike, and obviously Connor at the Connor just behind Mike Gaming. But obviously with Mike Gaming having his incident there, he's got big damage on the front of the car, and that's going to cost him heaps of time in this race. And Cobb, it's advantage Cobb here, because although he's only in 9th place, he should be able to extend his championship gap. And Cobb leading this championship, and could be leading by some way by the end of tonight, as we see Park Pooper getting a little bit wrong there coming out of Beckett's, and now Cobb's going to make the move up into 8th place. Jay's made the move on Revolt Detailer up into 4th. Can he hold it coming down the hanger straight? You can see Jay is managed to keep it on the inside here of the Mutts Nuts. I think he's going to get this move done, though the Mutts Nuts actually keep it around the outside there of Jay. Goes a bit wide though, coming through so onto the grass, and he manages to lose the position there. Jay up the inside. Revolt Detailer looking all the back of him as well, as we can see in the background there. You got Captain Harlock there, not Captain Harlock, yeah, it was Captain Harlock getting it all wrong coming out of Stoke Corner there. Oh wow, this is incredible stuff here. I can't keep up. I can't speak quick enough for all this action that's going on, but it's Charlie leading this race ahead of Craig right now. 3/10 currently separating these two. Nick is right there on the back of them as well. This is a three-way battle for the leaders. They're coming into Woodcote here for the 4th time in this race. They've got a bit of a gap back to Jay, Revolt Detailer, the Mutts Nuts, Captain Harlock and Cobb. So that's a 6-man battle behind them, a few seconds back. But currently this is the battle here for first place in this race, for 1st, 2nd and 3rd places. And these three, what am I talking about? I can't even get my words out tonight. I'm so shattered. I'm just exhausted, and I'm propped up on basically Pro Plus and caffeine, and that's what's keeping me able to speak at high speeds and be able to watch and articulate what's going on. If it wasn't for that, I would just be, I'll be passed out asleep. I would be fast. I'll be out for the count. I would probably sleep for about 24 hours straight if it wasn't for that. But right now, Craig and Nick still running pretty close. Charlie's just managed to gap these two a little bit over the course of this lap so far. In the background, you can also see that the Mutts Nuts has got pretty close on him. These two having a good bit of battle for 5th place, but they've lost time to Jay, who's now in between the leaders and this mid-pack. And Jay, can he go after the leaders here and snatch a win here in the final race of this evening? Charlie's gapped Craig and Nick, and Nick is now looking to the outside here of Craig, coming down towards Vale. Can he get it done here? He might have a chance. Craig covering the inside line and has kept onto that one for the time being. Then Nick with the straight line speed of the Macan, not quite on the same level as the BMW. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer here. But Jay is really creeping closer to these leaders. He's only within about 3 seconds of the race to Charlie, and he's right on the back of Craig and Nick right now. So could Jay pick up a win here this evening? It'd be great to see Jay back on the top step in the touring cars. He's won a race in the Clios this season in the final race of the evening at Sugo last week it was for round 2. But can he get a win in the touring cars? He's now really close on the back of Craig and Nick. You can see that Craig keeping it there around the outside. Nick a little bit too far back, I think, to make a move into Cops. No, he's going to go for it. I tell you what, Nick's actually going to send one down the inside of Craig into turn 1, and now Jay might fancy his chances here on Craig. Craig actually keeping it around the outside of Nick, getting a really good exit out of Cops down towards Magnus and Beckett as we come, and that's job done back again for Craig, back up ahead of Nick Livilla. Now Jay's going to have to look at the outside here, or sorry, up the inside of Nick Livilla here, coming in towards the Chapel curve, and Jay there making a move. Nick Livilla now losing the place after looking like he'd gained a place a few moments ago, and this is going to allow the Mutts Nuts and Cobb right into this action for 2nd place. Whilst this is going on, Charlie Goff is riding off into the twilight here at Silverstone, and could potentially be on for his 2nd win of the night. He obviously took the win in the first race of the night, and the reverse grid seems to be paying him absolute dividends here so far. Craig's still ahead of Jay. You got the Mutts Nuts ahead of Nick, followed by Cobb, and Cobb's just keeping tabs to these guys. The championship leader knows he needs to pick up points, and he's currently doing so, and he'll be gaining a lot of points on Mike Gaming, who is down in 14th place. He's had to get a lot of damage fixed. He is over 2 minutes behind the leaders, so Mike Gaming, I don't think, is going to be able to pick himself up from 14th place in this race. Cobb currently is going to get so many points. Oh no, we've had a crash. The Mutts Nuts into the wall, and who else was into the wall there? Was it the Mutts Nuts? Just the Mutts Nuts? I think it might have only been the Mutts Nuts. No, it was Craig as well. Sorry, Craig had a moment there. So Craig and the Mutts Nuts coming together. That's given JP2 and Nick up into 3rd place. Cobb managing to keep out of that carnage there. But the Mutts Nuts and Craig having an incident. Are those two going to come into the pits? Craig is now in the pits to get that damage repaired. And bearing in mind, there's no pit stops in the touring cars this season. So when you come in for a pit stop, it really costs you quite a few places by the time we get to the end of the race. What a disaster there for Craig. And the Mutts Nuts seemingly continue. No, Craig's retired from the race. The Mutts Nuts seemingly continuing on for the time being, as Nick and Cobb have both got time penalties in this race. They're still on the back of Jay right now. Can Jay close the gap to Charlie and maybe get a win here in this final race of the evening? It's all going off here at the midway point in this final race of the night for the Touring Car Championship here in Motive. Round 3, obviously race 9 tonight. Races 7, 8 and 9 of 18 races in a 6-week season, 3 races per round. Nick currently on the back of Jay. You can see these two batting it out of a 2nd and 3rd places. Cobb's just lost a bit of time to these two over the course of this lap. I wonder if Cobb tried to shake off his slowdown penalty and ended up getting a bit of double whammy with the slowdown penalty still coming through, but obviously the time penalty as well. But Nick Livilla swooping around the outside here of Jay up into 2nd place. Look at that. That's job done there for Nick Livilla. And yeah, he's now back up into P2, but Cobb there's a couple of seconds behind them. You've got John Boy there 3 seconds behind him. There's Revolt Detailer, who's about a second behind John Boy at the moment. You've got Park Pooper Rex, who's keeping Captain Harlock on his toes at his point. Big Blue currently trying to close up onto the back of Park Pooper as well. But let's keep with these two currently battling it out of 2nd and 3rd places, because they seem to be closing in on Charlie. And I'll tell you what, Nick Livilla's got ahead of Jay. So did Jay get a penalty on that lap, or maybe he's just had to back out of it due to a slowdown? But he's now behind Nick Livilla in this battle for 2nd and 3rd places. So obviously Jay there losing out to Nick Livilla there. I'm just so tired right now, guys. I think my words are coming out all wrong. I think I'm saying the complete wrong thing. Oh my god, I can barely keep my eyes open. But the action's great, but I'm just so tired. Nick the Villa, they're going a bit wide coming out of Stowe, and Jay's just a little bit too far back coming down towards Vale, but they are gapping Cobb by quite a bit. Cobb can't seem to keep up with this pace at the moment. John Boy, they're running in 5th place, so it'll be some good points for him. Revolt Detailer driving in a very creditable P6 at the moment. Good stuff from him so far in this race. Ozzy Albi there is running in 7th place ahead of Captain Harlock, who sits in 8th. There's Park Hoover is just ahead of Big Blue at this point. These two running in 9th and 10th places. Connor Boylan there in 11th place, and Mike, obviously the champion of the touring cars, is going to be losing points to his championship rival Cobb no matter what here in this final race of the night. But there's your 2nd and 3rd place men right now, and Nick's actually gained a bit on Charlie over the course of this lap, but obviously we've got to remember that Nick, Jay and Cobb all have slowdown penalties, all have time penalties. Should I say the time penalties is what comes when you ignore the slowdown penalty. But yeah, it looks like Charlie looking quite good for his money at this point. Obviously took the win in the first race of the night here, and then the second race didn't go as well, but these reverse grid formats really seem to be suiting Charlie Goff's style. Seems to be like when he gets out front and gets a bit of clear air, it's very hard to stop him, and right now we're seeing case in point once again. Nick the Villa's keeping the gap around a 2.5 seconds to Jay at the moment. There's Cobb running in 4th place. He's got a couple of seconds back to John Boy. I wonder if Cobb's got a bit of damage. Doesn't look like he has, but he doesn't seem to have the pace right now. Maybe he's just taking it easy because he knows that he's gaining points on his championship rival, and he just wants to be consistent here for this championship. But Cobb doesn't seem to be pushing, doesn't seem to be going overboard at this point. And in fact, John Boy is actually really close on the back of him. Revolt Detailer really wide there coming out of Stowe. Wow, he is. I mean, how wide do you want the track, Leo? Obviously, Leo, our sponsor for the touring cars, revoltdetailer.com. Check it out. Get your car detailing products over there, as they are absolutely excellent stuff, and he obviously does provide for our championship top 3. Although having said that, Leo, I've got a bone to pick with you about that one. But anyway, we'll come to that after the race. But currently Charlie still leading by just under 2 seconds ahead of Nick the Villa. There's Jay, who's 7 seconds off for the lead at this point. He's got a couple of seconds back to Cobb, who's flashing his lights here. Is Cobb. I wonder if he has got damage, maybe. Although John Boy's got damage as well, because look at the front of his car. John Boy's car is not in great nick either. I think Cobb has got damage because he is really struggling at this point, flashing his lights, slowing down, not really on the pace of the leaders at all. Nick's got the gap, 1.5 seconds to Charlie, but they've gapped Jay, who's also, I think, got some damage in this race by the looks of it, running in P3 here in this one. So I think the battle's going to be between Charlie and Nick for this race win in this final race of the night. Cobb's still on the back of John Boy. You can see these two running pretty close down the hanger straight here, but Nick the Villa is currently really throwing it. Oh, it's his Gnostic coming out. Stowe gets onto it. Wow, that was close. He did really well there to hold on to that. I tell you what, that was expert driving there from Nick the Villa, but that's just going to give Charlie a bit of impetus now, and Charlie, without a time penalty here in this race, knows he just needs to keep ahead of him, and needs to, even if Nick gets ahead of him, he'd need to pull out at least 1 second. Let's just have a quick look at the time penalties. Nick's got 4 seconds, so there's no way he's going to win this race, not unless Charlie bins it into the wall or makes a serious howler in the final 4 laps of this race. Cobb running just ahead of John Boy right now. You've got Revolt Detailer and Captain Harlock here running in P6 and 7. Park Hoover and Big Blue running quite close at the moment. They're just a couple of seconds clear of Connor. You can see there in the background, keeping them on their toes. Nick's got to go down to just almost under 1 second there. It was just 1 second there. It's now gone up to 1.1, 1.2 here between these two, but it's just ebbing and flowing between Charlie and Nick right now. Watching Revolt Detailer here, just keeping Captain Harlock at bay for the time being. Park Hooper's got Big Blue on the back of him, but Big Blue's got to watch out because Connors have got a great run on him coming down the start-finish straight. As Connors now looking to the outside into Cobb's corner, we can see Big Blue defending that inside line there. Now what can Connor do on the outside line? He's going to try and get the run all the way around, but Big Blue parking his car there beautifully, and no way through there for Connor. And he tucks in for the time being then. details still with Captain Harley putting the pressure on him right now. Park Hooper, Big Blue and Connor still battling over 9th, 10th and 11th places. Nick de Villa's now within 0.2 of a second of Charlie Goff. Oh, Charlie's got a penalty now as well. Wow, that's going to shake things up a bit. Now then, Nick de Villa, if he can get ahead of Charlie, we only need to pull out 2 seconds here in this one to take the win. So Nick de Villa's going to be a little bit extra motivated here. That's going to give him a bit of incentive to push. As Charlie a little bit wide there coming out of Cop's corner. Now Nick's got the run, not quite enough, and Charlie's going to cover him off coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's here. But this is for the race win between these two. Nick de Villa has been hunting Charlie Goff down. He's been keeping him within striking distance and now can taste his opportunity to go for a race. I'm not, bloody hell. Race win in this touring car championship. And here they come then down the hanger straight for the 12th time in this race. There's John Boy just ahead of Cobb right now. You can see these two running about 0.3 apart at this point. Captain Harlequin, Revolt Detailer there running in 6th and 7th places. You've got Park Pooper, Big Blue and Connor still running close, and Big Blue might have a run here. In fact, he managed to get ahead there of Park Pooper in towards Beckett's as Park Pooper gets a tap in the rear there from Connor, but Park Pooper there getting the run on the exit of the corner now. Big Blue's going to lose out, and that looks like Park Pooper's got that move back done again. Connor now might fancy a run here at Big Blue, with Big Blue slightly compromised on the straight line speed coming out of Chapel Curve. Down the hanger straight they come. The BMWs have got so much speed on the McGann. Look at that. Big Blue looking to the inside here on Park Pooper, but Park Pooper's got that outside. He's got the better line, and in fact Connor there swooping around the outside of Big Blue. Great move there from Connor Boylan up into P10. Excellently crafted manoeuvre there from him. Charlie still holding on ahead of Nick de Villa, and I think the penalties are still the same. Yes, they are. So Nick de Villa still would need to get ahead and put out a 2-second gap. Charlie Goff looking to try and make it 2 wins out of 3 tonight at Silverstone. What a great job it would be from him if he'd be able to pull that off. John Boy's got ahead of Cobb with the damage on his car, but he'll still gain big points on his championship rival Mike as it stands here tonight, and that'd be absolutely great here for him. It extend his championship gap by quite a bit, but Nick de Villa still trying to throw the kitchen sink here at Charlie Goff. Revolt Detailers on the back of Captain Harlequin in that battle for 6th and 7th. That hasn't petered out at all. You got Connor and Big Blue still on the back of Park Pooper as they're coming into turn 1. In fact, Big Blue's looking back down the inside of Connor again, and he's managed to get it done. Oh, Connor's wide onto the grass. No, what a shame. And they're battling with Mike actually. Mike is trying to unlap himself on these guys as well, but Connor into the wall, and I think that's put pay to his chances of a 10th place finish here, or a 9th place it was, because he was battling with Park Pooper and Big Blue. And what a shame there for Connor Boylan. You've got to feel for him there as he was that looked like it was a really enjoyable little fight as we battle for the lead. Here we go, Charlie Goff and Nick de Villa side by side into Woodcote. Nick de Villa's going to try and get the run here. He's going to look up the inside. Charlie holding it around the outside. I tell you what, we don't want to watch that battle down the back, because we're watching this battle for the lead here. Nick de Villa's now got the run, and he's going to swoop through into the lead. Nick de Villa takes the lead on the final lap of the race, but he needs to put out a 2-second gap if he is to take this win. Nick de Villa hits the front, but can he pull out another 1.4 seconds on this final lap of the race, or is Charlie Goff going to keep him in that striking distance? Charlie doesn't need to push like crazy. He just needs to keep Nick right in front of him. That's all that Charlie needs to do on this final lap. Can Nick de Villa pull off an absolute worldie of a final lap and manage to get that gap and take this win? That is what we're going to find out over the next minute or so. John Boyce has still got Cobb on the back of him. You've got Captain Harlequin, Revolt Detailer still battling over 6th and 7th places, but Revolt Detailer still doesn't look like he's quite able to force Captain Harlequin into a mistake. Cobb is still right on John Boy. Cobb with a penalty. John Boy hasn't got a penalty, so that will benefit John Boy and probably give him a bit of peace of mind in that battle for 4th place. These two flashing their lights at each other. Bit of bravado going on between these guys. But Nick de Villa with the lead of the race, but he's only got 0.8 of a second of a gap here to Charlie Goff, so unless Charlie messes up these last few corners, it is going to be Charlie Goff to take the win. Here we come down towards the final few corners of the lap here for the final race of the evening here at Silverstone Classic. What a night it's been in the touring cars here at Motive tonight for round 3 of season 12. Nick de Villa is going to come through the final couple of corners and it's going to take the win on the track, but Charlie Goff is going to take the win here for the final race of the night. tonight, and it's going to be 2 wins out of 3 at Silverstone Classic for Charlie Goff. What a great night for him after a torrid start to the season. There's no other word for it. Jay comes over to take 3rd place and a creditable podium there from our former champion of the touring cars. John Boy over in 4th ahead of Cobb, who takes P5 in the end. A championship leader there. Some good points in the bag. Captain Harlock over the line to take 6th place ahead of Revolt Detailer, who comes over in 7th. Aussie Albie, I think, is going to hold off Park Pooper. No, in fact, he's well ahead of Park Pooper. Sorry, that's Mike who he's battling with. Mike is going to try and go around the outside of Aussie. Oh, and Aussie takes him out. No, Mike gets it done. No, he backs out of it. Aussie comes through to take 8th place on the track. Good stuff there. Great racing, boys. Park Pooper is going to take 9th ahead of Big Blue. And that's all she wrote. Craig unfortunately retiring from the race a little way out. I think we lost the Mutts Nuts as well before the end. But great racing from the boys there tonight. And Charlie Goff taking the win. Nick Lavilla and Jay completing the podium. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, who tuned in whilst we were live. To the drivers, please, if you did enjoy watching this back, drop a like on the video. Share this with your friends, family members and other associates if you want to check it out and if you did enjoy. And yeah, great racing for the touring cars once again. I love watching the touring cars. Clearly on the touring cars, I absolutely love. Also, if anybody wants to join the GT3s, we're looking for reserves for the GT3s for Tuesday nights. Your boy will be racing in that, so if you want to challenge me in some GT3 cars on Project Cars too, then definitely get involved on a Tuesday night. Join us at www.motiveracing.com and get involved in our Discord server. Or you can join us for the Clios or touring cars, because there's usually a couple of spaces. I mean, tonight we only have 14 drivers. We're supposed to have 16, but a couple of guys couldn't make it, so you know, there's usually spaces available if you want. So come over to www.motiveracing.com and see what's up. But nonetheless, guys, I want to thank you all once again for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks everybody once again, and yeah, peace out.
Sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I.